Hello, Jess here from All the Sparkle with a video showcasing products from the brand new Simon Says Stamp Cherished release. For my first video, I decided to focus on the gorgeous heart mandala stencil and do a little faux gold leaf stenciling. So let's get started. I love the look of gold leaf, but it tends to get quite messy, or at least it does when I do it, so I wanted to figure out another way to achieve the same look without the mess. And while I was looking around my craft room, I saw my little bin of paint dabbers from Ranger and decided to give them a try. When using intricate stencils, I like to apply a thin coat of Krylon Easy Tack repositionable spray adhesive. It dries quickly, doesn't leave a residue on your cardstock, and helps to make sure that the stencil stays put. I positioned the stencil over a piece of dark teal cardstock and then placed a piece of copy paper over the stencil and carefully pressed down to make sure the stencil was adhered in place. Then I applied post-it tape around the stencil to hold the cardstock in place on my craft mat. Before I started, off camera, I had traced the bottom edge of my stencil on a piece of masking paper and fussy cut the mask so that I wouldn't get any ink on the bottom portion of my card panel. I placed the mask at the bottom of my stencil and then used a dauber to apply Simon Says Stamp's soft navy ink over the stencil. Once I was happy with the coverage, I wiped away any excess ink off the stencil and then applied metallic gold paint with my Ranger paint dabber. I was careful to apply the paint with a pouncing motion rather than a swiping motion, as I found that more accurately resembled gold leafing. Once I was done, I carefully removed the mask and the stencil and set it aside to dry. For my second card panel, I positioned the stencil over a piece of dull pink cardstock and applied Hot Lips ink over the stencil before repeating the process with my gold paint dabber. On this panel, I applied less gold paint to allow more of the dark pink to show through. Finally, for my third card, I skipped the step with the ink and just applied the gold paint directly to my dark maroon cardstock. I applied the gold much more heavily on this panel. Once all the panels were dry, I finished the cards. For the teal card, I stamped the sentiment from the new Thoughtful Messages set with Versamark and heat embossed it with gold embossing powder. For the pink card, I die cut the Big Hello sentiment twice from soft navy cardstock. I pressed a Versamark pad over one sentiment and heat embossed it with gold tinsel embossing powder, and then adhered it to the card panel. I offset the navy sentiment and adhered it over the gold. Then I trimmed the pink panel down to 4 by 5 1/4 and adhered it to a navy card base. And for my last card, I stamped the sentiment from Thoughtful Messages onto vellum and heat embossed it with gold embossing powder. I trimmed the panel down to 4 by 5 1/4 and then I adhered the edges of the vellum behind the panel to hide the adhesive and adhered that panel to a white card base. I hope you enjoyed my cards and that it provides you with some inspiration for the new Cherished release. You can find links to my blog and all of the products I used in the YouTube description below. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, have a fabulous day, and happy shopping!